Hi, folks. You're with Tassos today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about working your way up the career ladder through achievements, through hard work, through results, through experience, through learning. Does this even matter anymore? Is it even something that's on the general corporate radar? Is it some old bullshit idea that died years ago? Is it simply nonsense? Is it something that your granddad did, or that type of thing? So, just having a look at that. Now, what sort of got me on this was looking at a 1920s American sort of corporate, what would have been a personnel, as they would have called it in those days, but a corporate document talking about trainees, executive trainees, sort of coming into a decent sized organisation, and even ones that weren't that big. It was sort of a generic document, really, for its times. Where they would work in each department or each area. They would learn the business. They would understand the major customers and what they wanted, and would demonstrate some sort of achievement, some sort of aptitude, would produce results that were beneficial to the company and its shareholders, and then they would move up the ladder and would one day have a chance of becoming senior executive or even the CEO, and that was sort of how things were done. You learnt your trade, you mastered your craft, as it were, and then went on to bigger and better things. But you had to put in the time, the energy. It was well sort of thought of. You arrived early and finished late, and those sorts of things, that you really sort of committed to not only your own success, but committed to the business, the company being successful. And this was seen as how you got on in those days. Now, there are other things, like you'd arrive well dressed, and you'd have your shoes would be polished, and you'd be well groomed, and only all there was other things there apart from just results. But you had to get on with people and so on. But that was sort of how it was viewed. It takes a lot of discipline to do that over years. It takes somebody with a long concentration span, who's able to commit and be quite intense about their commitment, and why not? The company was paying these people to do a job, and it was hoped they'd do it well, and those that did do it well would be promoted and would make it to the top. So that was in this document anyway, and it was still the case when I left college and started work. That was still the view that sort of it was almost a form of apprenticeship, I suppose you'd call it, in business. And so even when I started work, there was this idea that you'd spend 6 months in accounts, and some of that would be in credit control, making sure that the debts were collected. Then you'd spend 6 months in product management, and 6 months in sales, 6 months in technical support, 6 months in somewhere else, marketing or something like that. So they'd make sure that you had a very well-rounded education, where you're expected to achieve things and impress people on your aptitude, how quickly you pick things up, and how quickly you're able to be productive. So it was how things were done. I don't see this sort of happening anymore. Now, it may happen in some places, but other than sort of the training or education one gets at college, it doesn't appear to be much outside of it. And there are still apprenticeships. Someone's learning to be a plumber or something like that, or a carpenter or whatever. They have to go through an apprenticeship at community colleges and the like. But I don't see that in business, at least. I don't see that same commitment to producing high quality, high achieving, well-rounded executives. And I don't see that anymore in the business sector. Now, at the same time, the majority of well-paid jobs now, or it used to be all in the business, the private sector, the majority of well-paid jobs now are in NGOs, quangos, government jobs, and certainly in Australia, the majority of the best-paying jobs in the nation are not in the private sector. So there'll certainly be a change there. Now we're moving into the realm, into a phase in the West generally of a crony economy, and where wealthy socialites are hiring each other, and political hacks, influential politicians are getting their low IQ moron daughters hired into all sorts of well-paid jobs. Think of Chelsea Clinton or something like that. And so this is sort of quite widespread. So as the West continues down the crony economy path, there's not really much requirement for high achieving people. There may be people you like, people who do as they're told, people who break the law when you tell them to. Those sort of things are certainly prized. But the idea of achievement and merit independently and meritoriously earned is something that's maybe gone for, well, let's not hope forever, but certainly for the foreseeable future. So I think there's a few things sort of converging. There's the crony economy. There's the best paid jobs are in the government and NGO, United Nations sector, that sort of thing, and that the private sector is now so caught up in race and gender quotas and things like that they're hiring. People are being hired just because they're black lesbians, not because they're any fucking good at anything. And this is of course a big issue as well. So these are the paths that are converging, that are really pushing all forms of merit and methods of achieving and gaining and displaying merit are similarly being knocked out. Now, HR managers and HR directors are saying quite openly that they don't want to employ well-qualified, high-achieving people because it'll make all the other staff feel bad about themselves. And when you've got more than half the employees, in some cases nearly all the employees, being hired on the basis of their race and gender quotas, but yet the people in the board of directors level, they're all just wealthy socialites who are playing house, playing sandcastles, except they've got a business to play it with. Then really the whole idea of working your way up the career ladder, I think's gone. I'd be interested to hear your views, but I don't see any signs of it anymore. And I think it's taken a great chunk out of the Western entrepreneurial, business efficiency, high achieving sort of spirit that was driving the West and its wealth. It's why the West was supreme in the world. That organizational, innovative ability to focus on the issues, get the job done, and produce again high quality executives. That was a uniquely Western achievement. You didn't see it outside. When I've done business all over the world, and to find an executive's work their way up the ladder through achievements and accomplishments in any other part of the world, you just don't see it. They're all cronies and hacks and relatives and the patronage and the nepotism and all that sort of thing. You just don't see it. You only see it in the West, and we're losing that, and thus losing the edge that the West had for so long, since the times of the following the Enlightenment. You've been a task today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.